All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is your ASAP crew, ready to talk sports. Should have one more guy coming in. I believe Chris is on his way. Good morning, Stat Guy. How you doing?
Doing well, Jay. Doing well. How are you?
No complaints, man, especially after the NBA Finals. And I don't have to hear Pride going crazy, this, that, and the other. It's not a bad day. Michael, what's going on?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on, Stat? Good morning, Jay.
Yes, what a day to be alive. Lots of things are going on. Obviously, I believe I think we get game 2 of the NHL, I believe on Saturday. Am I correct on that, Stat Guy?
Yep, Saturday.
Yeah, so we'll see if the Lightning can bounce back. Let's be honest, game 1 was just phenomenal. When it goes into overtime, and I really expect the rest of this series to be kind of down that same level of competitiveness. So I'm excited to see where game 2 on Saturday goes. Again, they're trying to go for the three-peat, man. I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, to get a three-peat in hockey just seems, damn near impossible. But Michael Canseco, and I know I'm probably saying your name wrong, so I'm just gonna say Con Guy so I don't get in trouble. But yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if you follow hockey, but what do you think about this Avalanche? And by the way, we're getting into the NBA as well. I don't want you to think we're putting it off, but I'm waiting until Gonzo gets here before we go into that. So I'm just kind of buying a little time. But Con, man, what do you think about this NHL?
Oh, I think it's exciting. I'm not really an NHL fan, but I'm very interested in the games and the Avalanche. It's a good series thus far. Like you said, three-peat is going to be hard to do. It's like almost impossible, but I think that it's a possibility that it could happen, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I am watching it, and I'm definitely interested in it, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Real quick, I know this is off topic, but Gridiron Yuki says, "What do we think about the Eagles' new word mark? What the hell's a word mark? Maybe I'm just old. I don't know, but what's a word mark? What does he mean?" I haven't seen anything about a word mark. Stat Guy, are you tracking anything on that? Gridiron, maybe give us a little background because I'm not tracking a word mark on the Eagles. I guess I haven't heard anything about it. If you can, I'll have to do a little research on that. But in the meantime, while we're doing
the word mark is just like something they're gonna start using on like all of their brands and materials. So instead of just using the Eagles head like they used to use, now it's gonna have the Eagles head with the word Eagles underneath it.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid. I don't know if I really like that. Yeah.
The E is cool in it, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's been their trademark since 1996, and they're changing it now.
Hey, the New Orleans Saints changed their helmets too, so what the heck?
I know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Sometimes things just shouldn't be messed with, and I think we mess with things just to mess with things. But I think sometimes if the wheel's not broke, why are we trying to fix it? Anyway, we'll come back to that one here in a minute. Stat Guy, what's your thoughts, man, on this NHL Stanley Cup series?
There will not be a three-peat this year. The Avalanche are going to finish it off in 5 games. They've been the best team in the NHL since day one. They have 5 30-goal scorers. They have 8 scorers with at least 20 goals. The team has so many weapons that it's physically impossible to stop them on any given night. They went unbeaten against Tampa Bay during the regular season. Granted, both games were 1-goal games, and this one was a 1-goal game. But the MVP of the Tampa Bay Lightning has to be Andrea Vasilevsky in goal, and he has not played well this entire postseason. And if you're not at your best when you play Colorado, you're in big trouble. And he continues to struggle. And when you're struggling against Colorado, they're going to put up 4 or 5 goals against you consistently.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So, from what I know of, at least of this series, it looks like they're looking at the pace of play, the speed of play, the pace of play really works a lot into the Avalanche's favor. But then, of course, the experience kind of works in the Lightning favor. But I think, like you said, pace of play can really change a lot of things. So I'm really kind of curious Saturday to see where we go from there. We're going to kind of get the whole College World Series thing out of the way. I don't know a lot about College World Series, but I know Dustin really is, the college guru. Matter of fact, he's getting ready to go down to Omaha, correct?
Yes.
On Nebraska. He'll be out there with the cows. But, he's getting ready to go to Omaha to cover the men's College World Series. As you know, the guy that was originally supposed to be slated to sing the national anthem there got banned. Not banned, but he basically got fired because he did the horns down. And he's a little pissed off about it because he's an Aggies fan, and I guess he thinks the Aggies are going to get into the World Series, and he really wants to sing for that. But it is what it is. But, again, A&M's in it. I think they're at number 5. Texas is at number 9. I'm a Texas guy, so I will be rooting for Texas to win that College World Series. Dustin, what's your thought process? Obviously, number 1, I believe, is Oklahoma, correct? Number 2 is Stanford?
Number 1 actually was Tennessee, and Notre Dame knocked off Tennessee, which is probably the biggest upset of the season in college baseball because Tennessee was like 57-8 or 57-9 heading into that elimination game when they lost to Notre Dame. So Notre Dame knocked them off, and they get Texas to start tonight at 6 o'clock. Oklahoma plays Texas A&M at 1 o'clock today. And then tomorrow you have Arkansas and Stanford, and then Ole Miss and Auburn tomorrow. And then Sunday's games will obviously be determined off of that. But it's kind of going back to how March Madness was for college basketball this year. The college baseball tournament this year was not only the most offensive in terms of most runs scored in the history of the College World Series, but the entire college baseball tournament so far has just been incredible. There's been upsets left and right. It's been high-scoring games, and when the tournament started, it was Tennessee against the field, and there wasn't too many people that were picking against Tennessee when you saw how dominating Tennessee was this year. And now that Tennessee is out, it's going to be a wide-open College World Series this weekend where theoretically all 8 teams can win. It's just a matter of who plays the best at the right time. Notre Dame against Texas tonight I think is going to be a great game just because Notre Dame is going to be riding that high from beating Tennessee to get here. The question is, are they going to be riding too much of a high wave where they're going to just kind of crap the bed in their first game and put their backs against the wall right away, or is that momentum going to carry through? But without Tennessee being there, I would think that right now the Stanford's got to be the favorite because Stanford was just as dominating as Tennessee was those final 2 months of the season. They just got off to a much slower start. So I would say that they're the favorite right now, and then Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and even Arkansas has got to be a close second behind them.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, so if you had to put a chance, like I said, I'm a Texas guy. What do you think the Texas Longhorns chance is of getting to the World Series? If you had to put like a percentage on it,
I would give them a 30% chance to make it to the championship game. Notre Dame is going to be a very tough matchup for them tonight just because Notre Dame has one of the better rotations.
Yeah.
If they play the way they did against Tennessee, I don't think Texas can beat them. So then if they lose, they're going to be put in a winner-go-home scenario right away on Saturday night or Sunday, and it's going to be against Oklahoma or number 5 Texas A&M. So it's not going to be an easy road for them. They have to beat Notre Dame, in my opinion, to have a shot to get to that championship series. If they do not beat Notre Dame tonight, I don't think they can get in.
And I believe that game is at 7 p.m. tonight on ESPN, if I'm not mistaken.
It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern, so it'll be 6 o'clock on ESPN. They have the nightcap, and then Oklahoma and Texas A&M play at 1.
Yeah, baby, and that's tonight, correct?
Well, the Texas Notre Dame.
The Texas game is tonight. Texas Notre Dame is tonight.
Yeah, 6 o'clock tonight. Yep.
That's the one I will definitely be glued to that. Matter of fact, Dustin, I may shoot you a couple of text messages. I know you're a Notre Dame guy out there. I might be saying, hey, man, you might be one game away from coming home a little early.
And you know, some fellas, I'm not in stats class, but I've noticed that out of the teams that are playing, there's only 4 ranked teams. What's your take on that? Stat?
No, it's so all the teams that are in the champion or in the College World Series are ranked. The way they do the college baseball tournament is they only rank the top 16 seeds. Okay. So like the top 16 seeds will host the regional round, and then after the regional round, you'll have the super regional where the top 8 seeds will host the super regional, and if one of those top 8 seeds would lose, then like the 9th seed or the 10th seed or whoever would host that super regional. Okay. So Texas was seeded number 9 for the regional round. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M was seeded number 5. Mm-hmm. Stanford was number 2, and Auburn was number 14.
Yes.
But the rest of the field itself, Notre Dame ended the season ranked number 18 in the country. Oklahoma was 21. Arkansas, I think, was 25, and Mississippi was like 24. So all the teams there were ranked in the top 25. It's just that in terms of how they do the seeding, only 3 of the top 16 seeds made it in.
I got you.
Hey, by the way, I do want to give a little shout out to Oklahoma women's baseball or softball, whatever they play. I know, you know what? Hey, listen, it's softball, right? It's not baseball, it's softball.
It's softball, yeah.
Hey, but shout out to them. Though. I did see that they did win their World Series, and you know, if you've been keeping up with the Oklahoma women's, they've actually had a really impressive season. I think was it like most consecutive wins without a loss or something like that this season, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. And the fact, and then of course they cap it off with the World Series win. I mean, I'm not an Oklahoma fan by any means, but I do, like I said, I always appreciate effort and what they and history making, and you know what they've done is pretty phenomenal. It's not, I know it's not something that's easy to do. So hats off to those women. All right, man. Listen, real quick. Let's talk. I want to talk about before we get into the actual thing. I'm going to talk about this NBA draft. As you know, Houston made that trade with Dallas that got them the 26th pick. They're currently drafting at 3. I said they need a big man down low now they got rid of Christian Wood. So I've been telling them, and I've always kind of thought that Chet Holmgren would be a really good piece for Houston because I think he'll space the floor. He'll do really good elite defense down low, and he has a 39% at the 3-point line. But he's really going to help out Green and Porter Jr.'s game by spacing it. So, what do you guys think about this draft? Obviously, Orlando right now has the 1 spot. Do you think that they would be willing to trade? And I can see 2 scenarios. One is that Houston would package the 3 and the 26 for the 1. And if they basically rebuke that, then they can package the 26 and the 17 pick and try to get something in the top 10 to go along with their top 3 pick. What do you guys think about any one of those situations?
Now, if you're talking about Orlando, you're talking about the first pick. I believe they're not going to do very much. I think they're going to go with Jabari Smith. I think he's a very talented. Matter of fact, he should have been College Player of the Year. I think he was. Very talented 2-way player. Can hit the perimeter shot, can penetrate, can do it all. But the surprise one out of the draft is going to be my man. Hold on, give me a second. Jaden Ivory. I don't know if y'all heard of him. I think he's going to be the surprise of the draft. He reminds me of Dennis Mitchell. Or he doesn't remind me of a player of that caliber. You know what I mean? He has a lot of tremendous skills, and he's going to be something to deal with in the future. So as far as all the trade scenarios, that might be possible. I mean, who knows what they're looking for? It depends what they can get. As far as the Houston deal, I think Dallas is going to be even better this year with Wood. Again, you got a young player, who's very talented. He averaged like 19 points a game this year, and they really didn't give up much in order to get him. I think he's going to be a mainstay. He's going to help out Luka, and I think he's going to be very effective. And I think Dallas is going to be I think the Western Conference is going to be unbelievable this year, this upcoming year.
Yeah. Stat guy, what do you think, man? If you're Houston, what do you think the most likely scenario? Because they've got to, because this draft, in my opinion, once you get past the lottery, the draft kind of starts to get a little watered down. So
yes.
they got to package the 17 and 26 to try to maybe get something in that lottery situation, or at least in the top 13. What do you think that Houston would try to do at 26 and 17?
I mean, Christian Wood is 6'11", so it's not like he's a small player they're bringing in. He's played the 4 or the 5. So if Dallas is content with what they have, Christian Wood is more than capable of playing the 5 for Dallas, and he can do very well. If Dallas wants to go and get another big, you want to avoid Chet Holmgren at all costs, in my opinion.
I agree. I
don't think he's going to pan out at all.
I agree with you on that one.
The guy is 7'1" and weighs like 180 pounds.
If that.
There's not going to be any way possible that guy's even going to be able to last 5 years in the NBA if he tries to post up, because someone's just going to take him and throw him like a rag doll across the court because he's so skinny, which means he's going to be one of those stretch forwards that we've seen now that just like to stand out by the perimeter, and a 7'1" stretch forward standing out by the perimeter is not going to work, because that's not why you're getting drafted. You're getting drafted because you're 7'1" and they want you to play on the inside.
Yep.
If Houston wants to go get a legitimate post player, they need to figure out how to get to number 2. And then they can take Pablo Banchero, because Pablo Banchero is the most polished player in this draft, in my opinion. If Chet Holmgren wasn't a 7'1" unicorn type of player, Banchero would be the unanimous number 1 pick, just because he's 6'10", weighs 270 pounds. He can handle the ball like a point guard. He can shoot from distance. He can post up. He can pretty much give you 18 and 9, 18 and 10 on any given night, which is exactly what you're going to look for out of a number 4 or a number 5. So unless Houston can Houston can figure out how to get into that number 2 spot, they may have to just kind of roll with what they have right now at those 2 picks. There are a lot of options that they can get in that 17 and 26, including the 7'1" center out of Auburn, who's kind of projected to land in that 16 to 19 range. And if he's there, Houston might as well just take him at like 17.
Yeah. There's a couple of mock drafts I've seen, and a couple of them have a Jabari Smith going number 1, Chet Holmgren number 2, and Banchero actually falling to Houston at 3.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's other ones I've seen that have Chet Holmgren number 1 and Jabari dropping to 3 and Banchero going number 2. So, I mean, I think that 1 through 3, I think it's going to be a little mystery until we actually see it unfold, unless, like you said, and I agree. I think if I'm Houston, I think I try to move up to at least 1 or 2. That way I have at least a shot at, if you think Holmgren's the guy or Banchero's the guy, at number 2, you're going to get one of them. That's for sure. So do you see any trades being made for 1 through 3? Or do you think it's going to stay the way it is?
I personally think it's going to stay the way it is. I really believe it's going to stay the way it is. But I'm going to tell you something that we have not talked about yet. We haven't talked about the G League. You got 2 guys right now who are playing the NBA who have made considerable impact in the NBA from the G League. So you got to watch out what they can get from the G League. Be very careful, because a lot of good players have come out of the G League. Again, it's going to be very interesting. But I think they're going to keep the picks the way they are right now, unless somebody offers to do something really, out of this world. But I don't think they're going to pick Holmgren. I doubt it very much. Like Stat Guy said, whatever, 7 foot, he weighs about 140 pounds. If you look at, he's got no inside presence. He can shoot the perimeter. He's got good ball handling skills, but he can't go in the paint. He's too weak.
All you have to do is look at the December 2nd or December 3rd game when Chet Holmgren went up against Pablo Banchero.
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren fouled out with 8 minutes left in the game with 12 points and 7 rebounds, and Banchero goes off for 23 and 14.
You know who he reminds me of in a certain way is Brandon Ingram. Not saying skill-wise, but Brandon being so skinny. But he has got stronger every year. and has improved his game. He's become almost an all-star. So Chet Holmgren, I don't know if he's going to have enough time to develop because he may get hurt. If he tries to go in the paint, they're going to beat him up. I don't see him really being much of a factor this stage of his career. He may improve. He may get better. He might put weight on. But he reminds me of Porzingis. Same thing.
It's interesting to me. How do I? I'm gonna answer Gridiron Yuki. He's asking, what do I feel about the Cowboys and getting fined for that early contact? Hey, look, man. Number one, McCarthy, $100,000, no big deal. Hey, Jerry, they're fining me $100,000 for this early OTA that you wanted me to have. Can you just give me your pocketbook real quick, or can you just put it on your credit card, or whatever it is you do? Just take care of this $100,000 fine for me. No big deal.
Exactly.
That's like $100 to me. No big deal. And then you want to take away one OTA from me? You know what? Not a big deal. It's all good. Look, pish posh, whatever. That's not gonna hurt the Cowboys. Them people don't give a damn. Hey, let's be honest. And if you're the Cowboys, you're probably trying to get that extra early contact in just to see, what you got. So we'll see. In terms of thoughts on, or what is Gridiron? What was it? He said Chet going to Orlando, and I can see that. I can see him going to Orlando to team back up with Jalen Suggs. So I can see Orlando doing that. And I'm with you guys. If Banchero falls to the Rockets, I'll be happy. I'll be fine with that. Hell, if Jabari Smith falls to the Rockets, I'll be happy with that.
That would be good.
The only team that you might have to keep an eye on in the draft is Sacramento going from 4 to number 2. And the only reason why I say that is Oklahoma also has the number 12 pick. So going from 2 to 4 is not going to hurt them that much because they have number 4 and number 12. Sacramento brought in Mike Brown from Golden State. So obviously Mike Brown's going to try to make some sort of a splash in his first year with Sacramento. Why not trade from number 4 to number 2 and then get a guy like Holmgren, Banchero, or Smith as your first pick as head coach?
And that's a good point, Stat Guy, because when has Sacramento ever been relevant? Since Divac.
Well, it's back in bloody Divac's days.
Yeah,
had that particular team. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. I think Jason Williams was down there. So
Sacramento's got the longest playoff drought in the NBA. They haven't been in there since 2002, back when they had Bibby, Doug Christie, Chris Webber, Divac, and Rick Adelman as head coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys, though, how, if you're Houston, like I said, and I'm just curious, because I am a Rockets guy, so I want to kind of get you. If you got the 3, the 17, and the 26, is that enough? Are there enough players out there at those 3 spots? Obviously, the number 3 there will be, but more like 17 and 26. Is there enough good talent there that can really help this team out and get to that next level in the development?
Jay, let me ask that question. Before we even go into that, y'all Houston Rockets fan, what are they doing with John Wall?
That's exactly what
I don't know how many times we can answer that question. What they're doing with John Wall, they have said, John, if you're willing to come off the bench, we will play you. John don't want to come off the bench. So they want to give the maximum development. Hold on now. They want to give the maximum developed time to their younger core. And they're willing to let John Wall just sit on the bench and just write out his contract.
Yeah,
if he does that, then they can't get nothing for him.
Well, that's not necessarily, because the Charlotte Hornets are trying to trade for John Wall.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And that would move LaMelo Ball from the point guard to the number 2. You have John Wall as your point guard, and Charlotte would be willing to give Houston the number 13 pick.
Okay.
For John Wall.
I'm saying something got to happen. I ain't gonna pay $40 million for a guy.
No, not the 13th pick. They'd be Houston. They'd give Houston the 15th pick. That's the pick they got from New Orleans. So then Houston would have the number 3 pick, the number 15 pick, and then the number 17 pick if they make that deal.
Wow.
Well, they have the 26 as well, though.
No, Dallas has that.
No, Dallas has it, but it's going to Houston from the Christian Wood.
So then they would have 4 first-round picks if they make that deal with Charlotte. Right. They would pick 3. They would pick 15.
We might come away with a slew of decent players out of this one.
Yeah, could very well happen. Good.
Well, let's hope because hey, listen. I mean, I think Houston's rebuild is going well. I think it's going well, and I mean, if they can add a couple of more key pieces into that build, man, hey, I don't think it's going to be long. And then if they could get a free agent or two, a veteran free agent or two to come in, just to kind of give them that little bit of whatever. Hey, I'm telling y'all just watch out. I think Houston's going to be back at it before long. Ronzo, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing well, man. Doing well. What did you think about? I guess we'll go ahead and get into the NBA playoffs. I'll start with you first. What did you think about the playoffs, man? Gonzo, you there?
You hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead, brother.
No, I had said Warriors in 6. After it got to 2-2, I didn't think Warriors would win 3 in a row, so I figured it would go 7. But Steph Curry came out ready to play last night, and Jason Tatum just didn't show up in the finals compared to how he played the rest of the playoffs. I think that really hurt Boston, but turnovers killed Boston. All series, but especially last night. They had like 16, close to 16 turnovers, I think, in the first half.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't turn the ball over that many times. And the scary thing is, I think the Warriors could be better next year.
Yeah, they're actually in the early power rankings. Obviously, it's the way too early power rankings, but they do have obviously Golden State at number 1, which is weird because they got the Clippers at number 2, and I don't know why they're playing Clippers at 2, but there's an early power rankings that has come out that has that. But yeah, man, I absolutely think that Golden State's going to be the favorite next year. They could. Let's be honest, guys. They could run it back.
Yeah, I think they'll be better next year because you get Wiseman back. Also, Klay Thompson on the second year off that injury. Usually on an injury like that, you get better in your second year than what you are your first year back. So I think they could be a better team next year than what they were this year.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had the key pieces. And let's be honest, you know, the one guy that they did not have this year was Wiseman.
Yeah.
So how much better are they going to be? If Wiseman can come back and stay healthy and give them that really, you know, a little bit more height in that low post, you know, they are going to be a lot better, right? Stat guy, what do you think? Mike, I'll let you wrap it up.
I mean, I hate to say it, but if Golden State would not have had the injuries they had the last couple of years, going back to when Thompson got hurt against Toronto in the NBA Finals, and then you had the 2 years where basically Thompson was out and Curry was out, so they had the worst record in the NBA 2 years ago, and then last year they were a play-in team that lost that play-in round. This Golden State team would be on the verge of winning 7 championships in like an 8-year stretch because they were the one team that has been pretty much able to keep their core 3 together this entire time in Thompson, Curry, and Green. They added Durant for a couple of years, lost him, brought in Wiggins this year. They have Jordan Poole, who's turning into be a terrific player. They drafted guys like Wiseman, who hasn't played, but he's still there. But yet the one thing that remains constant is that core 3 that have been together this entire time with Steve Kerr, with Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry. And as long as those 3 are together and playing it the way they played in the postseason, Golden State's going to be the title favorite in the Western Conference pretty much every year until someone can prove otherwise that Golden State's not going to make it that far.
So, Michael, question. Klay Thompson comes back off of, you know, both those horrific, Achilles and the ACL, comes back, managed to play the whole season, goes to the postseason, obviously clearly struggling still shooting the rock because he went 5 of 20 and then 2 of 8 from three-point land for 12. You know, what do we expect year 2 from Klay? Is he going to play like the old Klay of old? Year 2 off that injury, or is he just where he's at?
You know something, you know, when you're recovering for those type of injuries, they say it takes at least a year to really recover and recuperate. I think with a off season of, you know, him doing his rehab, I think he's going to be, he won't be the Klay of old, but he'll be the new Klay. And the new Klay is not that bad. Now, getting back, if I just mentioned about the game last night, you know, I was on Chris's show last night, yesterday afternoon, and everything basically we said came out to be true. Number 1, points in the paint. We said that was going to be an issue. Every team that had most points in the paint won the game. Number 2, we said turnovers. If Boston got more than 16 turnovers, they would lose. If they got less, they would win. Number 3, which I think is the most important part, is the Celtics do not have a true point guard. They do not have a quintessential point guard. You got Marcus Smart, who came out of Oklahoma State, who was a shooting guard, who scored over 20 points a game. You have him coming as a point guard. I think that was not a great move. Great defensive player of the year. I hear all that. But let me tell you, if you have a true point guard, at the beginning of the game, as you notice, the Celtics went in the paint. They were doing work. Then they went out of it. They ended up taking all these 3-pointers. All the turnovers started happening. And again, I think the game was about chess and checkers. Kerr, with all his experience being a mentor or being mentored by, of course, Pop and Phil Jackson, I think that he made maneuvers to counteract whatever Boston was doing. Boston had too many turnovers. Again, they needed a real true point guard, and they're talking about getting Brogdon. But I mean, the Celtics are still young. I think they're coming down too hard on Tatum. He's only 24 years old. Jordan didn't win 2, was like 27, 28. The only one that really won it at an early age was Magic. If you look back, only one that really won it at an early age. So my analysis.
Yeah, but let's be honest now. Let's keep it in perspective. When Jordan came to them Bulls, they were hot trash and had nobody. He had to rebuild that team to get back to where he was. People don't understand. Magic came into a little bit better situation.
Oh yeah, I think he has a guy named Jabbar. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, we gotta keep that in perspective because otherwise it can be taken way out of context. So my question is this, Gonzo, and I want each one of you to answer this. So we're going to go bottom to the left, and Michael, you'll wrap that one up. Jason Tatum, and I don't mean to throw pride under the bus, but I'm going to throw pride under the bus. When I said that Jason Tatum wasn't a superstar, he looked at me sideways and called me basically uneducated. Yeah, pride. How you like them apples? I'm sorry, but how you like them apples? Because he went 6 of, I believe it was like 6 of 20. Or 6 of 18. I think it was 6 of 18. He had 13 damn points. Basically almost a no-show in the biggest game of the Celtics' life. and he thinks he's a superstar. Me personally, I think he's a Jimmy Butler, like Rob Scott said, basically a number 2 playing at this point. Chris Gonzalez, what do you think about Jason Tatum and the word superstar?
I think he's a number 1 on a team. I don't know if I'd call him a superstar yet. I think he's number 1 on the team. He's going to grow into that. He had a bad series. But you can't just because he had this bad series, you can't discount what he did the rest of the playoffs because he had some good playoff series leading to the finals. But in the finals, I don't know if he was just overwhelmed or what it was. He could never got his shooting going the whole series. He struggled most of the series, and definitely last night. I just think the Celtics try to play too much ISO ball, in my opinion. Brown and Tatum get themselves, yes, they're good off the dribble, but they get themselves in trouble because they dribble too far in, and then they're trying to compete to get into traffic, and that's when they turn the ball over. So I think he's on his way to be a superstar, but I don't think I'd call him a superstar yet. But I do think he's a number 1 in the league, and I think he's going to end up having a great career.
Well, he's having a really good regular season career. I'm not sold on him whatsoever on the postseason career at that point. So, I mean, let's be honest. I just don't like him in the postseason. I really don't like Harden in the postseason, nor even sometimes T-Mac when he was with Houston in the postseason. They had their moments in the regular season, but, man, that postseason rolls down, and I feel like we see a different player. Stat guy, superstar, Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum's a superstar. Yes, he had a bad NBA Finals, but you have to credit the Golden State Warriors for how they played defense on him. They made it a point to kind of get in his head and kind of take him out of his rhythm, which they did. He's been in the playoffs now 5 times since coming to the NBA, and he's averaged 18 points the first year in the playoffs, 15 points the second year. But his last 3 years in the postseason, Jason Tatum has averaged 25-7, 25-6, and 30.6. Those are superstar numbers in the playoffs. I don't care what anybody says. Those are actually better than his regular season numbers where he's only averaging 20.9 points per game during the regular season. So he puts up better numbers in the playoffs than he does during the regular season. He shows up on the big stage consistently when you need him to, It's just the fact that this is the NBA Finals. This is the Golden State Warriors home away from home. They've been here 6 times in the last 10 years. Boston hasn't been back in the NBA Finals since the Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett days. So experience obviously wins the NBA Finals. The Warriors had more experience. They knew how to beat Boston. They knew how to take Jason Tatum out of his rhythm, which they did. Doesn't mean he's not a superstar at all, because he is.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I mean, before the finals, I mean, there were some good games. Again, his inconsistency and production of points when it really counts is kind of where I draw the line as superstar versus a number 2 or a really good Jimmy Butler. I feel like with Tatum, when you need him the most, he's not there. Steph Curry, when you need him, he's pretty much always there. And that's the difference between superstar. I feel like at a superstar level, you got to produce when they need you. And right now, I'm not saying Tatum, he's only 24, so I'm not saying he can't get there. But right now, look, you may put up whatever numbers earlier, but if you're not doing it when it counts, that's just, to me, that's not a superstar. But that's it. And again, we go to the historian con man, Tatum, superstar or no?
You know, fellas, to me, that's a difficult question because the label superstar, what does that really mean? What I mean by that is you have James Harden, who was considered a superstar, never won a title. You got Dame Lillard, considered a superstar, never won a title. So do you base it on championships? Do you base it on playoffs? Or do you base it on what is the criteria? I think that Tatum has a superstar potential. Again, he's only 24. I mean, this is his really first time, in the finals. Again, as I said before, you got to learn how to win. Right now, he's learning how to win. My boy, my favorite player of all time, Isaiah, when the Lakers beat him, he went to L.A. and he watched the finals, all 7 games, and he learned how to win. And what happened? The next couple of years, they won back-to-back. But getting back to Tatum, do I think he's a superstar? I think he's on the verge of becoming a superstar. But then again, he has had the most turnovers of anybody in NBA history in the playoffs, 100. And Brown had 74. Them two combined had the most turnovers of anybody in the NBA history. So I think that, again, they're learning. It's a learning process. So I won't put him on that superstar label right now, but I think he will eventually get there.
I also want to kind of point out, if you look at Andrew Wiggins and what he did in the playoffs, to the point that he was pretty much number 2, in my opinion, at MVP voting. And I really kind of thought what he kind of gave them in those last 3 games could have, really challenged Curry for the MVP. But, they're going to give it to Curry. I knew they were going to give it to Curry. And it's okay. I'm good with that because Curry has played excellent. But Wiggins is a solid number 2. And he outproduced Tatum. And that's why I feel like you don't have to have a championship to be a superstar. You don't. Because you could go out there and give them 34, 8-8, on a consistent basis. I'm not averaging, not every night, but you average 34, 8-8, or even 30, 8-8. And if you're doing that, and you're at least shooting the rocket, a better part of 45 to 46%, and you still come up with a championship, you could be a superstar. This is what it is. But again, I think, with Tatum, I just need to see more from him in the next couple of years. And I think we will. I think his game will continue to grow. But I don't think as of right now, in my opinion, he is a superstar. That's just me. Real quick, what's interesting to me was, fun fact, historian, I think you'll get a kick out of this. Mitchell Wiggins, if you don't know who Mitchell Wiggins is, that's the dad to Andrew Wiggins. Mitchell Wiggins was a 1986 Houston Rocket when they took on the famous Boston Celtics in the 1986 NBA Finals. And if you remember that, the Rockets really pushed that Celtics team to the brink, and they lost. That's when they had Olajuwon, Sampson, Mitchell Wiggins, Lloyd, and I think Reed was there, and a few others.
McRae, I can name.
Yeah, McRae, Rodney McRae. But what I want to point out is I find it ironic that Mitchell Wiggins in 86 goes against Boston, hard-fought series, doesn't get the dub, but then his son on Golden State plays a hellified big-time role with Golden State, and it comes away with the dub against the same Boston Celtics. Not the same team, but the same, the Boston Celtics. So what the dad didn't get done against the Celtics, Wiggins, his son, gets it done with Golden State. Just a little fun fact there. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Jay, that's a very good point. But Mitchell came out of college not highly regarded as his son. His son was the number one pick. His son went to a totally dysfunctional Minnesota Timberwolves, who had 4 coaches during his time. He was not regarded being a number one pick. They had high expectations, and he never reached them with Minnesota. That's why Butler left, because he called him soft. He called Towns soft. So Wiggins, to me, it's a perfect fit going to Golden State, because he doesn't have to be the one. But Jay, you're right. He was probably the number 2 option in the playoffs, and he came through. And I'm so glad for the guy, because they put so much expectations on him being the number 1 pick. Sometimes you might be a number 1 pick, but you might not be a number 1 fit. He fits right in with Golden State, and I think that is a tribute to the from the top to the bottom. Kerr being a great coach that he is. Steph, Green, Clay. I think he's just in the right fit, and it's good for him, because he was blasted for being the number 1 pick and never lived up to expectations. They thought he was a bust, but he's coming through in the big time right now. So God bless him.
Yeah, I agree. And again, if you watch that series, man, it was amazing. It was a good series. I think what was it, 4-2, which that's what I predicted. As I was saying, Golden State in 6. I had to figure that Boston was going to get at least 2 games out of that. So they pretty much did what I thought. I know Rob had him in 5, but hey, he wasn't too far off. But again, so with the Celtics, what do we see in their future going forward? Obviously, they have a young team. I think Horford might be one of the oldest ones on there, but they have a young squad. They have a really good coach. They are set up for success to go in the future. Where do we see with the Celtics going forward? Gonzo.
Oh, no, I think the Celtics are going to be a contender again next year. I do think they need to get a true point guard. You saw some times in that game last night, especially at the beginning, where they were posting up Curry. Whoever Curry had, they were posting up and they were giving them the ball, and that's how they kind of got that lead. And then all of a sudden, they went away from that. So I think that's where, if you have maybe a true point guard on the court, he can keep the ball going where it needs to go. But I think they'll be contenders again next year. They're a young team. They'll probably maybe add a couple pieces, try to help their bench a little more, but I think they're going to be right there again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So stat guy, obviously, you had Middleton that was hurt in that Milwaukee series. If Milwaukee keeps his team together, Middleton will obviously come back if he stays healthy. Obviously the Celtics are going to be in the playoffs. I don't imagine them not being in the playoffs, but where do you see the Celtics, next year? Is it going to be, do you see them back in the finals, or is it going to be a different team?
I wish Frankie was on here, because then Frankie could just chew my head off. But I think Brooklyn is going to be the favorite next year. And they have Kevin Durant. If Kyrie Irving stays in Brooklyn and if he plays all 82 games, Brooklyn still has a ton of talent on that team. And we saw how good Brooklyn can be with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving together with no James Harden. Kevin Durant single-handedly almost beat the Bucks on his own in the playoffs last year with an injured Harden, with an injured Kyrie Irving. So we know how good Brooklyn can be, but the problem is they have not been healthy. It's pretty much been Kevin Durant and nobody else the last couple of years. Brooklyn also lost arguably their best bench player in Patty Mills and didn't have Joe Harris basically the entire season this year. Both of them will be back healthy next year with Brooklyn. So that's going to be 4 weapons that Brooklyn has, with 3 of them back from not being able to play pretty much the entire season this year. So with that, I'm still going to give Brooklyn the edge for right now, but Boston is going to be right up there with Milwaukee also. And then you have to look at the Chicago Bulls too. And I know, Jay, you weren't sold on the Bulls a lot this year, but at one point this season, the Bulls had the best record in the Eastern Conference. They were sitting at 39-17, and that's before the injuries to Lonzo Ball and Caruso and Zach LaVine took place. You have all those guys healthy if Zach LaVine comes back. And then they go and get a guy like maybe DeAndre Ayton or Rudy Gobert in the free agent or trade market. Chicago's going to be a better team also.
Yeah, and again, I think with Chicago, I just want to see them, play the whole season healthy. I mean, again, with them, you had them, injuries left, injuries right. You never really saw the full squad on the court at a long, consistent basis. So, there's a lot for them to prove. Number one is staying healthy. Number two is getting Zach LaVine under contract. But again, they struggled, even when they were healthy, they did kind of struggle against some of the top tier teams. So again, I'm not saying they can't do it. They're a young team, they're a young squad, but they got to stay healthy. And then we'll see what happens in year two of these new additions.
When the Bulls had their entire roster last year, they were 10-0.
Yeah. And again, so if they stay healthy, I just need to see more on the healthy front from them. So we'll see what they do year two of that rebuild. Michael, so Celtics, man, what do we expect for them coming in next year?
Well, if you guys heard the general manager of Golden State last night, when they had their bad years when Clay got hurt, and a lot of people were saying, well, get rid of him, make some moves, make some trades. They didn't do it. They kept to their roots. They kept to their basic unit. I think if the Celtics keep their primary unit and add somebody, like I'm hearing right now, they're going after Brogdon. If they can get someone like a point guard like a Brogdon who can control the offense, I think they're going to be very productive. You got two mainstays, Brown and Tatum. You got a good nucleus. You got Williams. Again, a young player, sharp money. So if you're looking at the payroll part of it, which I kind of do, I look at the payroll part of the salary cap. I think the Celtics, if they can stay together, stay focused, they had a new coach, new system. I mean, I think if they can stay together and not just try to blow everything up right away, I think they're going to be very effective. Depending upon, again, it's crucial that they get a good, true point guard. If they can do that, and if you notice during the whole year, they played their bench a lot. When it came down to the finals, their bench shrunk. You look at Golden State, beginning of the year, they played Poole as starting. So when he came out, he was used to playing. So I think Golden State had the better bench, and that's what propelled them. You look at the stats last night. The bench came through. Celtics bench got no minutes, and the ones that did play didn't play very well at all. So they have to improve their bench. They got to get a true point guard, and I think they're going to be all right. But like a stat guy said, Brooklyn's going to be tough. Miami's going – I think the East is going to be real tough. Milwaukee, depending upon what they do with Middleton. I'm hearing trade about Middleton and Beal. I'm hearing Beal going to Milwaukee for Middleton, 3 guys, and 2 first-round picks. Now, what about Beal going to Milwaukee? Think about that one, if that happens.
Yeah.
Here's a thought, too, with what you just said of how Boston needs a point guard.
Yes.
What about Boston going after Jordan Poole?
Yeah. And Poole would probably like to come off. He'd probably rather be a starter than coming off the bench.
That guy. He's not a point guard.
He's listed as a point guard, shooting guard. They moved him to shooting guard this year to fill in for Klay Thompson. But when he was at Milwaukee, Rufus King, and then when he was in college, he was primarily a point guard.
And just like Marcus Smart,
don't challenge that guy. You lose that one.
He's not a true point guard, though.
When he was in college, he was third in the NCAA with the highest assist to turnover ratio, which means he took care of the basketball and he distributed. He's played point guard before, and being from Wisconsin myself, I've watched this guy at Milwaukee, Rufus King, and the stuff that he did when he was a point guard was absolutely, utterly ridiculous what he did to defenders.
Great player, no doubt. I think he's more of a 2-3 as opposed to
Billy Kahn. Hey, Billy Kahn, listen to me.
I'm not Billy Kahn. I'm Michael Kahn. First of all,
I know, but no. Now, how did you get your name, Kahn, man? We know the backstory. That's why I'm calling you Billy Kahn. So don't challenge me, okay?
Go ahead.
Yeah, don't challenge me on this. I know the backstory. We call him Stat Guy for a reason. I'm telling you, if the dude tells you something, You could damn near Google it. You're probably going to lose it.
Hey, he's way more knowledgeable about me.
Comment. I would say that if you're wrong, you got to shave your head, but you ain't got no hair to shave. So
that's correct.
There's nothing I can do with it.
I respect that guy, but okay, you said Pooh. How would he fit in with the Celtics as a point guard? Think about that. See, he may be a point guard. How is he going to fit in with that Boston team?
He would fit in just fine.
You think so? Okay.
Because that Boston team would be very similar to his Michigan team.
Okay, he beat Sharp Money, so I give you that. And he's young.
He's 20. I think he's 22 right now, going on 23.
He's worked hard coming from the G League. I love him. I'm just saying, I think they need a more experienced point guard. The Celtics need someone who's more experienced at the point guard. That's all I'm saying. Nothing against Pooh. Great player. Paid his dues. Went all over the world. And I just think they need an experienced point guard. Someone who has maybe 6-7 years, who can hit the perimeter shot, can penetrate, can facilitate, and just play more of an all-around game. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, a couple questions real
quick. Pooh is not known as a
questions real quick. Hold on. Hey, a couple questions real quick. I want to kind of go back and address what Gridiron Yuki put up. Sue Bird is retiring at the age of 41. Yes. She came in the league 2002, first-round pick. Actually, she's pick one of the first round. And she did 18 years in, and now she's going to be leaving the game. And that's a lot of history that she's carried with her with Seattle, all one team. Just amazing. Y'all's thoughts on Sue Bird real quick. Chris?
I'm kind of glad to see her retiring on her own terms, not retiring because like an injury or something like you see some big superstars. You have to give her credit. She's probably the best woman to play in the WNBA. Look, she leads like every stat. It's always kind of sad to see the stars go because you enjoy watching them play. But I'm glad that she's kind of getting to go out on top on her own terms.
Absolutely, stat guy.
I mean, not only did she play for Seattle her entire career, but she also played for 2 teams a year because she was in Russia and overseas since 2004 during the season. She's a 4-time champion, a 12-time All-Star, 6-time Olympic gold medalist. I mean, what hasn't she done in the WNBA and just in the international side of things? You're going to put her right up there in probably the top 2 players all time in WNBA history. There's nothing you can take away from her that she hasn't accomplished. She's probably wanted to accomplish a little more, but I mean, 18 years with one organization to accomplish everything she's accomplished. There's not too many even NBA players that can say they've had the success she's had.
It's interesting. Real quick, so I know you got her at number 2, but do you have her better than – and I'm not saying she doesn't have the accolades, but on the WNBA side of life, I mean, do you think she's better than Cynthia Cooper or Cheryl Swoops?
I think she's better than those 2, but I still have one player that I put better than her, mainly because she changed the way the WNBA was played, and that's Lisa Leslie. Lisa Leslie was kind of that first legitimate kind of center that the WNBA had. Like, obviously they have centers, but at 6'6", she was really that first center that kind of took center stage in the WNBA. She was the first woman to ever dunk a basketball, just the way she played when she was there. The teams that the LA Sparks had where it was pretty much just her and nobody else, and they were consistently in the conference finals or the WNBA finals with just her and nobody else.
I'm gonna agree to disagree. Cheryl Swoops and Cynthia Cooper. I don't know how you look past that, but okay, I'm gonna let you have that one though. Con man, Sue Bird.
Yes, some stat guy, man. He's ruining my day. I don't even want him on the show anymore. But anyway, what I'm saying is that I had the pleasure because one of my best friends was a head assistant coach at UConn, a men's team, for a lot of years. So I got to see Sue when she first started her career at UConn, and I had the pleasure of watching the women's and the men's play quite a bit. And to see her be so successful at UConn, and her career has, taken. I mean, she's achieved every single award, and she's been healthy. And like Stat said, because he knows every stat, playing overseas, playing in USA, the gold medals, the championships. I mean, if you look at her career, I mean, I think I'm gonna have to roll with him on her being second or first. And now Cynthia Cooper, obviously, I remember watching. As a matter of fact, I think those 2 really brought the WNBA on TV, if I'm correct. They're the ones who really started having the games because I used to watch them. But as far as Sue Bird's concerned, I mean, her consistency, I mean, her staying healthy. And again, seeing her when she just started out at UConn and seeing how she's grown and done so much for women's basketball overseas and also in the USA, I just give her all the credit in the world. And thank God for her, man. She's part of what made the NBA what it is right now. She's also part of the reason why the WNBA are getting the salaries they're getting as well.
Yeah, they have her listed not even in the top 5 in terms of the greatest WNBA players of all time.
I disagree with that.
They have Diana Taurasi number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Tamika Catchings number 2. Cynthia Cooper number 3. Maya Moore number 4 and Lisa Leslie number 5 are their top 5 that they have.
Now, the stat you just gave, do you know one of them had a famous father?
I believe what's that? Maya Moore?
Cooper, Michael Cooper, right?
No.
Was it Maya Moore?
No, I got you, stat. I got you. You got to look at your stats, bro. I'll tell you. Tamika Catchings is the daughter of Hobby Catchings, who played for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Ain't nobody heard no damn Hobby Catchings. Get out of here with that bullshit.
Yeah, look
I'm just kidding. No, hey, listen. That's how you know you're not famous. If I gotta look you up, you're probably not famous. But again, he did play in the NBA, so I'm not gonna put no bad shade on him. But hey, real quick, guys. Chris, we're gonna start with Chris. Gonna work our way down to Michael. Chris, Gridiron also says, or I think it was Nat's dad. Yeah, which is I believe it's Joe McDonald. He asked, the Celtics relied heavily on Al Horford. Is that possible again? He says, Smart needs to facilitate more, which I agree. Smart does need to facilitate more. And I do think they relied too heavily on Al Horford. But what is your guys' opinion of that?
I thought Al Horford played real good for him in his playoffs and even in the finals. I thought he was when they brought him back in, I was kind of worried, but he actually came back and played real well. I don't know they really didn't have nobody else to rely on as a big man other than Williams, and Williams played real well. So, if you're not going to rely on them, the only thing you can do is if they bring somebody else in over the offseason. But I don't think Horford was the reason that they lost this series at all.
Stat guy.
Horford single-handedly is who got them to this series, you can argue. Because if you look at what Horford did against Giannis those final 2 games in the Eastern Conference semifinals, if it wasn't for his defense on Giannis, Boston might not even be where they are. So Horford at 37 years old, he deserved to have a bad series just because of what he did the first 3 series in the playoffs this year. That's not why they lost. They lost because they went against this era's dynasty in the NBA, which is the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, it's not 6 championships in a row. Obviously, it's not a three-peat, but they still have 4 titles in 8 years. That is this era's version of a dynasty. It's the Golden State Warriors that when they get to the final, chances are they're going to come away with the championship.
Michael, my question to you is this, and also I'm gonna come back around as well. Oh, and actually, no, go ahead and give me your Horford. What do you think about Horford? My thing is this. Are they relying too heavily on Horford? Should they be relying more on Tatum and Brown and things like that? But are they relying more on Horford?
Okay, I think I can answer that. But getting back to what you were saying about Wiggins' father playing in the NBA, Horford's father played in the NBA as well. But getting back to answer your question, do I think they rely on him too much? No, I don't think they did during the regular season. I really don't think they really didn't rely on him. He played solid. He was about 10 points a game. I don't know exact stat, has all the stats. He played, he played his role. Did they rely on him that much? I don't think so during the regular season. These playoffs, especially when he had that game in the Warriors where he had 26 points, I think that's what propelled him to give him more responsibility. But again, being at that age, how much more does he have left in the tank? I think he could be a valuable contributor off the bench next year if they get a decent big man, if Williams remains healthy. But do I think they gave him too much responsibility? I really don't. Because if you look at the regular season, they really. How much did you hear about Horford during the regular season? Now when he was with the Hawks, he was phenomenal, big time scorer, NBA All Star. As he grown in age, his role got changed. You remember he went to Oklahoma City. The Celtics got rid of him. So if they thought he was that good, they would never got rid of him in the first place. But they took him back. I think he's appreciative, being an opportunity to play in the finals. But do I think they put too much responsibility on him? No, I really don't.
So I guess another question for you guys is, and I know he's not blaming Horford, but I guess what Joe is saying is, going into the future, are they relying too much on Horford? And I don't think that Horford is going to get you a championship ring. So I think you've got to look to other people or other things to get you where you got to go. Stat guy.
Yes.
I mean, for his career, he averages 13.7 points per game. So he's not going to be a big time scorer. This year in the playoffs, he averaged 13.3. So he was pretty much right on his career average in terms of scoring. He had, I believe, he was averaging 16 points per game the first couple series in the playoffs, and then kind of cooled off a little bit. But a 37-year-old who's been in the league 15 years, and this being his first ever trip to the NBA Finals, anything you can get out of a 37-year-old, you're going to consider a win. If you can get 13 and 7 out of him consistently, any team is going to take that, whether it's as a sixth man, whether it's off the bench, whether it's as a fill-in number 4 because you're waiting for a drafted number 4 to develop, or you just needed to fill in your number 4 spot with Al Horford. Anyone will take 13 and 7 out of a 37-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Boston in the future, the Celtics would be very wise to keep him along for another 2 years. He's the veteran leader that locker room needs when you have guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and the rest of that team being so young. He's that veteran leader that locker room needs. And if he can give you 13 and 7 for another 2 years, the Celtics will take that. The Celtics will then allow him to kind of retire on his own terms, where he's like, I've done everything I've tried to do. I didn't come away with a ring, but at least I got to the final. Now I can go out on my own terms.
And he's well respected, which means a lot as well.
So starting at the top, and we're going to come back around. We look at Golden State. How many more championships do you think they have left in that squad, Chris?
Ooh,
Good question.
That is a good question.
Damn, Jay.
I think they could win maybe a couple more if they can stay healthy. Like I said, you're going to have Wiseman come back. I think he's going to help them. I think Klay Thompson will be better next year off that injury. So I'm looking for the Warriors to be better next year than what they are. And you have to look, they had that, Moody and Kuminga. They have some young guys that have showed flashes of being good players. So I think they could end up maybe getting 2 more.
Stat guy?
You're muted,
Stat guy. You're muted, Bubba.
I'm going 3. And the only reason why I'm going 3 is you have Stephen Curry locked up through 2026. You have Klay Thompson locked up through 2025. So you at least have 3 or 4 more years with those two together. And both of those players are superstars. But unlike the LeBron James and the Giannis's and the Durants that put that physical beating on their body every single year, they're shooters. They don't put their body in a position where they're going to get battered and bruised and miss a ton of games unless it's with like an ankle injury or something like that. And when you're a shooter, we've seen it with Reggie Miller. We've seen it with Ray Allen, how long you can last in the NBA if you're a good shooter. If Curry and Thompson can stay together for another 5 years, I'm not going to be surprised if they can win another 3 titles.
Con man?
Stat man, I kind of agree with you, but here's the thing. The Warriors, their road to the finals this year was easier than most. If you look at the team they played, they had an easier go than what the Celtics had to go to get to the finals. And I think with the West, you got Kawhi, Paul George coming with the Clippers. You got Murray and what's his name from Denver. I think the West is going to be so tough, so difficult. It's going to be even harder for them to get to that finals. I think the road's going to be a lot more difficult. But again, you got that guy Curry. You got the experience. Well, like you said, Wiseman, if he comes back healthy, I mean, they got Looney.
That's the thing, too. Golden State had an easier road this year, but Golden State's also going to be healthier next year.
Good point. That's why I'm going with you on that.
And Steve Kerr is 22-2 in the playoffs as a head
That's what I was
coach.
getting ready to say. We're forgetting about
his only two losses were in the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. He's 22-2 in the series as a head coach.
Okay, I'll give you an answer. I think if they can develop the young players to coincide with the veterans, I think they're going to be a tough out. I'll give you that. But I also think the West is going to be I think the West is going to be more difficult than the East next year.
The sad part is this is exactly the same kind of team that Steve Kerr had in Phoenix when he was the GM. When he had Steve Nash, Stoudemire, Sean Marion, and those guys, where there was pretty much the run and gun, fire up 53s a game, but he never could finish the job in Phoenix. And granted, he wasn't the head coach, but they could never get over that hump when he was in Phoenix. Goes to Golden State, pretty much builds that entire roster the same way that he had it in Phoenix, and now look at it. He obviously knew something was going to work back then when he was doing it.
But you got to watch out because I think you all agree on this. 99% of the time when the team in any sport wins a title, what usually happens? Some of the stars take off and get more money. Right now, the Golden State, if I'm correct, their payroll was $345 million this year. Mm-hmm. And they're going to pay a substantial cap tax, whatever you call it. So they got to be careful of that. And you know something? A lot of players, once they get their ring, now they go get the money. You know I'm right on that one. So you got to watch out what happens in the offseason. Will they keep that unit together?
Hey, but here's the question, right? So my question is this: if you look at LeBron James's career, and I wish Freddie would love this comment, but I like storing up some hornet's nest. But you look at LeBron James's overall career, and currently he's with 4 rings. He's on a team that basically looks dead in the water for a hot minute. With no chance of really looking like they're going to do anything in the future. I don't know what free agents Bron thinks they're going to get, but, whatever. So, but if you look at Bron's legacy and you look at Steph Curry's legacy, they got the same number of championships. Curry obviously has the most threes in the world. But then you have Steph Curry, who got 4 rings, 8 years, 1 team. Bron obviously had to shift from team to team to team, and Curry got it in less time, that same number of rings as Bron. And Curry is still in position, and at least if you look at Stat Guy, to get 3 more. If you look at Chris, maybe 2 more, which puts him either tied with Jordan at 6 or 1 more than Jordan with 7.
Wow.
So if his career ends up with 6 or 7 rings, and he did it with 1 team, and let's be honest, he's got the same damn accolades almost as what Bron has. He's got 2 league MVPs, and God knows all this other, now he's got a finals MVP. I mean, at some point, I know people have all this respect for Bron, and I know it's probably sacrilege to say that Steph Curry could wind up being his legacy being better than Bron's legacy. How do you guys feel about, could Steph Curry at the end of his playing career and Bron at the end of his playing career, could Steph Curry's legacy be better than Bron's? Gonzalez.
Ooh. Man, that's an interesting question, but I think I do think that Curry has a real good chance of ending up with more championships than LeBron. Just because I think the Warriors can win 2 more, and on the team that LeBron's on right now, I don't see them winning the championship here anytime soon. But yeah, if Curry gets up to 6 championships, even 5, say he finishes with 5 and LeBron finishes with 4, that's going to start a real interesting conversation on their legacies. But I think there's a good chance he ends up with 6, and then I mean, you almost have to start putting his name up there with the top players in the world. I think Curry gets disrespected. We talk all the time about this season about how Jokic was the best player in the world or Giannis is the best player in the world. We never put Curry in that conversation because everybody just puts him as a shooter. But he does more than just shoot. And in the final series, he actually played some of his best defense that he's played in his career. So I think Curry deserves a little bit more credit than what he gets. And I think it'd be real interesting if he gets up to 5 or 6 titles and finishes with more titles than LeBron.
And not to mention, what if he goes 2 to 3 more finals, and out of that 3, he gets 2 more finals MVPs or 1 more finals MVP? You got to really start putting some heavy weight on Curry's name when you're talking him and LeBron in the same conversation. Stat guy.
All I can say is 4-2 is better than 4-6. And how many times did LeBron James lose to Curry in the finals? How many times has Curry basically taken the finals over? And had Kevin Durant not gotten hurt against Toronto, Curry would have more rings than LeBron James has right now.
Yep.
His legacy is going to be better than LeBron's because he's going to do everything with one franchise and one franchise only. It's going to be like the Michael Jordan situation where Michael Jordan went to Washington at the end of his career, but all of Michael Jordan's accolades came with the Bulls. A lot of the greats' accolades, Kobe Bryant, all of his accolades came with the Lakers. Everything that Stephen Curry is going to do and accomplish as a player is going to come with Golden State. It's going to come with one team versus LeBron, hop team to team, got championship here, got a championship there, got a championship there, which that's great. You got a championship with 3 different teams. But how many super teams did you have to build in the process to get those championships? Why couldn't you just stay with one team and basically be like, this is what we need in Cleveland to get me a ring. This is what we need here to get me a ring. Like, why did you have to do what you did?
And that's why I say the validity of Curry's legacy when it's said and done, and the validity of Bron. I think it's just Curry is just going to have such a much more stronger chance for the validity of him than Bron. I mean, I just don't see how Bron's going to be able to hold up to that. Con man, what do you think, brother?
Damn, Jay, man, it's too early in the morning. That's a tough question. If he were to win 1 or 2 more, I think you would have to put him in the conversation. Now, I know y'all don't like LeBron that much, but I think the fact is, I'm not looking at it from my own point of view, but I'm talking about the perspective of the NBA people. I think he'll be put in the conversation, but I really don't think he will solidify his legacy more than LeBron. I truly don't believe that. I think Curry, if he wins 1 or 2 more, it's going to be really tough. But I think the impact that LeBron has made on the NBA, and of course you're going to say Curry changed the game and all that, I think it's going to be real tough because they already got LeBron on Mount Rushmore. They're still talking about Curry being if he's in the top 10. So if he gets that 1 or 2 more, and if he like Jason, he gets Finals MVP, I'm gonna have to put him up there. I'm gonna have to have him. They're gonna have to go toe to toe. That's me. But I'm talking about the NBA world. I think LeBron's always going to be there. It's going to be Michael Jordan. It's going to be LeBron.
I just don't understand how people can put LeBron up there when you have a 4-6 record in the NBA Finals with the talent that he's had in the NBA Finals. You give Michael Jordan the teams that LeBron James has had, he's 10-0. And it's 10-0 without any challenge in any of those finals.
I agree.
I think he put Curry on the team that LeBron had.
Yeah, if you give Curry the talent that LeBron James had, he's 10-0 in the NBA Finals. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah, but I agree with you. If Curry, he's had an outstanding career, and he just got the cherry on top of the cake.
Well, then I guess here's kind of a bounce off question then off of what Jay just asked. With this championship, did Stephen Curry just cement himself as the greatest point guard to ever play?
Man, oh God, I'm gonna tell you my favorite is, and of course you guys are gonna blow me out the door, but again, I don't think Steph Curry is a point guard. I think he's a shooting guard. If you really want to know what the quintessential point guard is, Curry to me.
Okay, yeah, by definition, he's not a point guard because by definition, point guards are pass first. But
he's definitely the best shooter of all time, no doubt. But as far as a point guard, I have a problem. I have a problem with Magic Johnson being called a point guard. And I will tell you why. Magic Johnson, 6'9". When Magic Johnson played, who did he play on defense? To me, a point guard plays a point guard. Shooting guard plays a shooting guard. Small forward plays a small forward. Power forward plays a power forward. Center plays a center. Magic Johnson
That's
never.
That's where you're antiquated. The game doesn't change. The game changes. Damn it, Con man. The game changes.
I'm sorry, man. That's the way the game. That's it.
If you look at how a lot of lineups are now, they're not listed as shooting guards or power forwards anymore. You're literally just listed as a guard or a forward.
No,
Just
you listed
because
as 1,
just
2,
because the
3,
game
4,
has
5.
changed so much.
Y'all listed as 1,
And people
2,
are so
3, 4, 5.
interchangeable in those positions. But yeah, man. Hey, again, I just feel like Curry's gonna. I think Curry's, in my opinion, I think him and Jordan, man. I mean, I think he's gonna be right up underneath Jordan. I think I could build a stronger case for Curry to be better than Jordan than I could for LeBron to be better than Jordan. I can make a much stronger case for that.
Let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think that kind of what the con man was saying? Why do you think that the NBA world don't give Curry that kind of respect that he deserves?
Because he's not flashy. He doesn't do the flashy dunks. He doesn't do the flashy plays. He doesn't make the highlight reel plays that LeBron James and Giannis and all these guys make. It's I get the ball, I do my tricks with the ball, I pass it, and I shoot 35 footers. Well, guess what? Those 35-foot jump shots change the NBA because that's what people do in high school now. That's what people do in college now because they want to be like Curry. You don't see people going into college now saying, It used to be going into college, I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Kobe. And then I want to be like LeBron. You don't see people going to high school now saying, I want to be like LeBron. It's, I want to be like Curry. I want to be able to shoot the ball like Curry.
I got to come back. Jay, hold off. Give me a minute. As you all know, I'm a referee. I referee AU games. I see all. And know something? When these kids come to the pot, they're not doing layups. They're not shooting the 2-point shot. They're coming in shooting 3-point shots that can't even make a 2-point shot. And it pisses me off because these kids, no disrespect to Curry, they think they want to be like him. You don't think Curry put the work and the time and effort to be the way the shooter is? And these kids come to the park thinking, I'm going to shoot threes. It drives me nuts. So I agree with what you're saying about Curry, but, I mean, he's phenomenal. He's fantastic. But, being
in my opinion, he's changed the game more than any other person in NBA history because of the 3-point factor.
I think he's made the game more pliable for the youth because he's only 6'3", Jordan's 6'6".
And he's potentially unguardable too because yes, he shoots threes, but he has like no range limit. You're not gonna guard him out by the half court circle because there's not gonna be a single coach that says, "Yeah, go guard him out here." But guess what? He'll pop up and pull a half court shot like it's a normal jump shot and make it.
And he's an underrated finisher at the rim.
Yes, Chris, you're right, fellas. How many players upcoming whatever, are going to be able to shoot like that? That guy has a gift from God. How many players how many coaches will allow someone on their high school call, I don't care, to shoot like him? How many coaches, because you know what? You take a shot like that and you miss, your behind's on the bench. He's just gifted. He's one of them dudes that are absolutely gifted. How many young players are going to be able to shoot like him? They want to be like him, but he has a talent. That guy works tremendous hours. I mean, it's not now. He worked at his game. And you see these players, now you're saying he made a big impact. I don't know, because I'm watching the best AAU players around, and all they're doing is pumping up that 3-point. How about taking a layup? How about learning how to shoot a layup? How about shooting with your right hand? How about learning how to shoot with your left? I don't see that. All I see is 3 points. You're not going to be Curry. Curry's one of a kind.
So shifting gears a little bit, where do we see Bradley Beal? He's going to leave Washington. It's just a matter of where he goes. Who do you think is going to land Bradley Beal? Do you think it's going to be Milwaukee, or do you think it's going to be a different team?
Milwaukee can't afford him.
And he's going to probably want to go to a competitive team. He's not just going to leave to go to another Washington situation.
Milwaukee can't
afford him.
Milwaukee can't afford him.
What about Denver?
Nope. There's one team that wants him, and there's one team that I think is going to get him.
I'm listening.
They are rebuilding right now, but they're not going to be rebuilding for much longer. Portland wants him to pair him with Damian Lillard. And Portland has the draft capital the next 2 years to build a championship roster within 2 years.
So if Bill was to go to Portland, how much more of a difference is he going to make than what CJ McCollum made when he was paired with Damian Lillard?
You have 2 30-point scorers on your team as opposed to one. CJ McCollum was good with Portland, but he wasn't great. Bradley Beal has the potential to be great.
He was inconsistent in Portland. He'd have great games, but then he would disappear a lot.
Like, CJ McCollum turned into a great player when he went to New Orleans. And that's because I think it was more he didn't have to worry about Damian Lillard kind of next to him.
What?
CJ McCollum was averaging almost 25 points per game with Portland.
What did he average? Right, with Portland. What did he average with New Orleans?
CJ McCollum?
Yeah.
He was averaging 24.9 points per game in New Orleans, which is more than what he averaged with Portland.
You just said he averaged 25 at Portland.
No, in New Orleans, I said with the Pelicans, he averaged 25.
And what did he average with Portland?
21.6.
Okay.
And that was because Damian Lillard wasn't next to him, so CJ McCollum could kind of be the player that he wanted to be. He had the team where your best player, arguably, in Zion Williamson, is not playing. So you're bringing him into a situation where it's like, we're going to put you with Brandon Ingram this year and kind of figure out how you guys can play together. Well, guess what? Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum played very well together. Now you bring Zion into the mix next year. Zion and Brandon play very well together. CJ, Zion, and Brandon have a very good potential to make a nice lethal big three that are going to be very young.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. You said Milwaukee can't afford them. That's not true. There's already been a deal in the works. I mean, it's not official. They can do it. They give up Middleton. I forgot who else, a couple of guys, and 2 first-round picks. It can work. Now, check this out. If y'all, Bradley Beal, how many years has he played?
8 or 9.
Mm-hmm. And he's been on a losing team almost every year, correct?
Yep.
Now, if he were to go, let's say to Milwaukee, how many years Giannis got left? Maybe, 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
He's got about 10.
Oh, good. That makes my point even better. Don't you think he would go to somewhere where it's more, the structure of their team is more? Portland's a mess. He goes to Milwaukee. You got the structure. You got the team. You got Giannis for 10 years. You know you're going to be in the playoffs every year. You know you got a chance to compete for the Eastern Conference. And they can make the money. Hey, in the NBA, you can make it work. If the Golden State can go pay $345 million for their payroll, Milwaukee can do it. And then being a small market.
Golden State's payroll is only $178 million.
You check out, it's way more than that.
I just pulled it up.
Pull it up. They were on TV last night. They were talking about it.
They have $178 million on their payroll right now, which is number 1 in the NBA.
Okay. Y'all stat guy, so I ain't going to argue with you. But so you're telling me, hey, he's good. I can't mess with him. But I'm telling you, what about Milwaukee? They can make it happen.
They can, but Portland has an X factor that the Bucks don't have.
Which is?
Chauncey Billups. Bradley Beal has worked out with Chauncey Billups 5 straight summers. And Bradley Beal loves Chauncey Billups. He actually endorsed Billups to try to become Washington's head coach before they gave it to Scott Brooks.
I agree with you. I love Chauncey Billups. He played, my team, the Pistons. I just think if you're looking for long-term, Beal's best spot would be with Milwaukee because he got the best player who's considered the best.
But like
player.
you said, they probably can't afford him. That's the downside to it.
But they can. They can.
I don't know, man. I like Middleton. I think Middleton paired with that team, I think they're just fine. I don't know that they need to necessarily bring in a Bradley.
Because Bradley Beal made $33 million this year. He's scheduled to make $38 million next year. Middleton's making, I think, 26 or 27. The problem the Bucks are going to run into is Bobby Portis is going to get paid.
Yes.
And the Bucks need to keep Bobby Portis.
Yes.
So you're going to have to give him $20 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Brook Lopez is going to get paid. The Bucks need to keep Brook Lopez because that team was not the same when Brook Lopez wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at how that team was the first 60 games of the season without Brook Lopez, the moment Brook Lopez got to that team became a top 5 defense once again, and they started looking like the Eastern Conference champions again. Those two have to get paid, and if those two get paid, they can't afford Bradley Beal. There's no way they can because they'll be way too much over the cap.
So I like what Sandro Arroyo Sanchez says. So Dallas just brought in Christian Wood. Yes. What if Dallas lets go of Brunson and brings in a Bradley Beal? Now you got a guy who can play guard and forward. I mean, how do you? Number one, could Dallas afford it, and would they pull that trigger?
You know the thing with Brunson. I played with his father, by the way. Brunson, his money and Bill's money are totally two different things. Matter of fact, I think Brunson's up for his contract's up.
Yeah,
he's up for $85 million. It looks like.
So I mean, they're gonna have to do something more than Brunson. They're gonna have to give up picks. They're gonna have to give up a whole lot to get Bill to make it work. But you're right. Mad if they got Bill, Wood,
and Luka.
I mean, that could be one hellified team, right? Talk about a big three.
That's your next year's MVP right there, Luka Doncic.
Yeah. You got to believe that because, man, Luka is really just growing and growing and growing into that, man. Just
if
growing,
he comes in shape,
consistently growing.
If he lost 20 pounds and worked out like LeBron and has his trainer and fitness and diet regimen, he's going to be – he already is. But if he lost weight and came into the season in shape, wow.
I don't think Luka was out of shape. I don't think Luka was out of shape. Maybe at the beginning. I think he was a little bit at the beginning of the season, but I think he got into it. But I think he definitely rounded back into form.
And how old is he? 23?
He's same age as Tatum, I believe. 24, 23, 24?
He's 23.
Yeah, I think
he's young.
I think he might be. I have to. He's incredible, but he needs help.
How much weight did you say he needed to lose?
I would say 15, 20.
He's only 230 pounds.
He don't look it
because he's 6'8".
But don't you think he looks slow?
No, he doesn't look slow. He doesn't look slow because he plays slow, and that's because the game is slower to him. Because you got to remember, he's been playing professional basketball since 16.
Oh, I know. He's been through the war.
So, he's technically in year 4 of the NBA, but he's in year 9 of his professional career, basically. So the game is a lot slower to him, so that's why it looks like he's playing slow, just because everything's so much slower.
Okay, stat guy, then why did he say he needs to come back next year in better shape? Because
he needs to come back and
play more defense.
That's why he wants to be in better. That's why he wants to be in better shape, because when he was trying to be a two-way player, he got worn down on defense. He wants to just be in better conditioning shape, not losing weight-wise. He wants to be in better conditioning shape where he can run more and play more defense consistently, because when he got up against the guys like Curry and those teams that like to run up and down the court, he didn't have that conditioning where he could keep up with them the whole game. He had the physicality and he had everything else. It was just he wasn't in that conditioning-wise, running-wise, where he could do that for 40 minutes a game, and that's where he wants to be.
Now, I'm not comparing him, but I'm just making an example. Zion, what do you think? They want him to lose, 20, 25 pounds? I'm not comparing him to Luka. I'm just saying he's kind of the same type of player. In a way, what I mean is they want him to lose weight. I think if Luka were to lose weight, he would be able to have more success during the course of the season, because he's relied on to do everything offensively, and that takes his toll on him. And that's why if he gets help, he comes in shape. You don't have to be 20 pounds, even if it's 10. It makes a difference. If you're a ball player, you lose 10 pounds. Jay, you lose 10 pounds, don't you feel a little bit better? Don't you feel a little quicker? That's all I'm saying. And he's only 24. I think if he don't start learning how to take care of his body now, by the time 3-4 years comes, he may get out of shape and he may get injuries, because that's when injuries occur. So I'm just saying, if he lost a little bit of weight, I'm not saying 25, but lose a little bit of weight, coming a little bit slimmer and trimmer, he's going to be that much more effective defensively, offensively, and everything else. And then if he gets help, whoever he gets, they're going to be – hey, what a future he has. What a future he has.
I mean, you got to understand, look, Luke is not going to be a John Morant, that type of guy where you're running up and down the field. That's not who he is. No, that's not who he is. But you know what? Guess what? That's not who LeBron is either. That's not who LeBron is either.
No.
So, I mean – he does have skill sets, and that's what gets him, is the fact that he can shoot that rock and he can get the assists, the rebounds. He does need to work on his defense, and I already know you got another. Jason Kidd already said he's going to work over the summer on his defense. So I expect Luka to come back next year a better defensive guy. And I think this Dallas Mavericks team, we got to start looking out for them because I do expect them to do big things next year, just based off of the acquisition of Wood. And if they bring in Bill, for the love of God, they bring in Bill.
Oh, man. Oh, Lord. Hey, and Mark Cuban will go over the sales tax. Mark Cuban will pay.
Yeah, Mark Cuban don't care about no damn sales tax. That dude got all the money in the world.
Exactly.
Man.
So you're right, Jay. Watch out for Dallas. I don't know. Good point.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily how much he weighs. It's just the body. It's just the body fat ratio. I think is what gets him. So yeah, you're right. If he tones up, if he bulks up a little bit, or converts some of that fat into muscle, he's definitely going to be better off at the long end of the stick. Because you do want to have some weight, especially at 6'8". Like you said, you don't want to be like a Chet Holmgren where you're 7'1" at 195, because then people are going to push you around. You do need a little bit of weight to stand your ground. So I don't think you necessarily want to go too skinny.
The only player that can get away with being 6'11" and 200 pounds is Kevin Durant. That's the only player that can get away with being a skinny, tall player.
Right, but I'm not saying be skinny. All I'm saying is be in better shape, like be toned, because I think it's going to prolong his career. That's all I'm saying.
Amen, brother.
In my opinion, Luka Doncic is going to be the next Magic Johnson because he's very built a similar 6'8" point guard. He's got that size. He's a better scorer than Magic was, and I just think if he gets better at defense, he can be the next Magic Johnson.
Oh, hey, stat guy, I love you, man, but now you're out of line. You're out of line, stat guy. You're out of line on that one. Luka is not a point guard, man. Luka is
Well, wait a minute.
What is his position listed on the roster?
Who?
Luka.
Okay.
He's listed as a point guard. Who handles the ball up the court?
Okay, so what is Brunson?
Shooting guard.
Okay. Who shoots most of the time?
Luka.
And who distributes most of the time?
Luka.
You think so, huh?
Who led the team in assists? Luka did.
He handles the ball 90% of the time.
Because he's the point guard. The point guard is supposed to be the ball handler.
He just handles the ball. I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to get you.
You know, Con, man, I'm going to tell you one more time. They don't call him stat guy for nothing. If you want to put that up,
Stephen Curry shoots the ball Stephen Curry takes the most shots on the Warriors. He also leads the team in assists because he's the point guard. The ball is always in his hand.
Okay, and now I'm gonna give you another. Now you got a stat guy.
Allen Iverson was when he was in Philadelphia. Allen Iverson led the team in shots per game. He led the team in assists because he always had the ball in his hand. Correct. Some point guards are shoot forced point guards.
Okay, so you think Luka is a point guard?
He is because he handles the ball.
I think you ask anybody who knows the game, they'll tell you he's not a point guard.
If you look at his size, no. But the position he plays, he is a point guard because he handles the ball.
Because they rely on him so much. Do you think he would not love to have a point guard so he can even have more offensive ability?
No,
he's relied upon to do so many. He's not a point guard. Come on.
They tried that overseas with him. They tried to give him a point guard overseas and take him off the ball, and he did not do well. He had the worst season of his career. He needs that ball in his hand. He needs to be.
They'll tell you he's not a point guard.
Hey, and Luka's an underrated passer as well.
Yeah,
no, he's great.
Luka needs the ball in his hand to be that engine to make that team go.
I agree, but you can still do that from the forward position as well. Look how many times Giannis brings the ball up. Look what he does.
What does he do? He brings the ball up and he brings the ball up and he dunks it. He doesn't pass it unless he's double or triple teamed.
Who has the ball for the Milwaukee Bucks more than anybody else? Giannis.
Drew Holiday. Unless the ball is in the paint.
Drew Holiday.
Unless the ball is in the paint, Drew Holiday has the ball more. Unless the ball is tipped out on a rebound where the Milwaukee Bucks are on a fast break.
Who does Drew Holiday give the ball to?
Giannis in the paint.
And then what does Giannis do?
Dunk it or pass it out when he's double or triple teamed.
He don't pass too much. All right. I'm your stat guy. I ain't gonna mess with your stat. I'm the historian guy. You're the stat guy. All I'm saying is Luka is not considered a point guard.
Well, you know what? Tell that to the Dallas Mavericks depth chart because it's listed as a point guard on the depth chart. So apparently, somebody's gonna have to tell Dallas that because Dallas don't know.
I will.
He's listed as a point guard in the NBA All-Star game. That's where his ballot was when you had to vote for him. He's listed as a point guard everywhere you look. Freaking Ben Simmons is listed as a point guard.
I know what I know. We can agree to disagree. He's not a point guard. I don't care what you say. He's not a point guard.
But don't tell us that. Tell Mark Cuban that.
Oh, okay. Now, who does he play on defense? Who does he play on defense?
Luka?
Hmm?
Point guards. He guards Stephen Curry.
Oh, really?
That's why he said he wants
I think sometimes con man, given his advanced age, I say advanced age, I'm not trying to say old, but your advanced age.
I'm old. Go ahead.
Yeah. But
that's why he said he wants to get in better
sometimes I think con man gets a little confused because we know that Magic Johnson played the point guard, but then Conman has kind of contradicted that, saying Magic's not a point guard. He plays the other guys. But I don't know. But somehow Luka's not. I don't know. Conman, I'm just saying, brother, man.
That's why Luka said he wants to get in better condition because he couldn't guard guys like Curry and Ja Morant for 40 minutes because they're quicker.
Bingo.
But who's he guarding though? He's guarding point guards on defense.
No, he's not. He's not guarding anybody. He's not. He'll tell you that.
He still guards Curry. Doesn't do it very well, but he still guards him. He
doesn't guard anybody well. You know why? How tall is
he? 6'8".
How is he going to guard someone 6'1", 6'2", who had the quickness of Ja Morant? Put him on Ja Morant, then tell me he's a point guard.
Hey, watch this. Telling Luka to guard Steph is like telling Con Man to guard his grandkids.
I don't have grandkids. I don't have any kids that I know of. I ain't got no paper.
No, I'm just saying metaphorically. It's like saying an old man to guard. You know what? I ain't got time for this craziness. Hey, listen, folks. Rick Carlisle, what did he say? What's he saying? Sanders coming in with a last second comment. So what did he say? Rick Carlisle said it himself. I needed Luka, a point guard for the team to succeed. So, yeah, man. I don't know. Hey,
Luka makes that team go. That's why he needs the ball in his hand.
Okay. He's just a good. I look at Doncic as being a facilitator and a scorer, right? I mean, he facilitates. So,
okay,
at the end of the day, man,
I'm gonna try and make a simple comparison. You guys probably gonna block me, whatever. I'm gonna make a simple comparison. I'm gonna tell you the true quintessential point guard. In my eyes, and I doubt if y'all will disagree with me. Offense, defense, leader, distributor, facilitator, captain, all the above. That is Isaiah Thomas. That is what I call a true point guard. Hall of Famer, two-time NBA champion. That is the quintessential point guard.
And if you're going off of that, there's really only one true point guard in the NBA right now. Then
Chris Paul, you're going to say, right?
Exactly. Otherwise, every other point guard in the NBA right now is a shoot first, pass second point guard.
Isaiah shot.
Look at LaMelo Ball in Charlotte.
Right,
he's a point guard, but he's a shoot. Trae Young is a 6'1" point guard, but he will take the most shots on that team.
Correct. No argument.
And does that make him not a point guard then? Because he shoots 30 times a game.
He's a point guard that they need him to score.
But I'm just saying now, point guards now are shoot first, point guards pass second. That's just how it's happened. And if you look at a lot of these teams,
that's got a good point.
The best shooter on the team is the point guard.
You gave me food for thought. So I'm gonna have to shut my mouth. I'm gonna have to shut. But that's all I'm saying, guys. I'm old school. I know, I played point guard in college, so I know what a point guard entails. I know the responsibilities that they have. To me,
I get your point with what
you're. Luka's not really a leader. What I mean by that, he does everything. But do you see him really leading his team?
But again, man, hey, listen, man, not to say you're advanced age, but college, when you play basketball in college, ain't the way they play basketball in college these days. These positions have new responsibilities and new roles, and you got to either change with the times or get plastered on the history wall in the textbooks. Yeah, okay, you're either in a textbook or you're on the internet. And if you're on the internet, then you're with times. If you're in the textbook, you're in old school land.
Now it's more of a positionless game.
Yeah.
Good point, Chris.
And now There's a guy in Wisconsin named Milan Monsilovic, who's ranked the number 8 player in the nation.
Okay.
He's a 6'8" power forward. That's what he's listed as.
Mm-hmm.
But his high school team moved him to point guard last year because he was the best shooter and the best ball handler on the team.
Okay.
And that's what point guards are now. You need to, like, obviously ball handling is key, but if you're the best shooter on the team, chances are you're going to be the point guard. You see it with Lonzo Ball in Chicago. Lonzo Ball was the best.
Marcus Smart is the best shooter?
He only played point guard this year because Jason Tatum's not a very good ball handler. Either is Jaylen Brown. They're just more of those spot up jump shooters. Boston really doesn't have a ball handler that's very good. Marcus Smart's their best ball handler. That's why he takes the ball up the court.
That's why I say Boston needs a true point guard.
Lonzo Ball in Chicago was the team's best 3-point shooter, and he's a point guard.
He improved his jump shot. He did,
and he's a point guard. But I would say, out of the 30 NBA teams, 26 of the 30 teams, the best shooter is the point guard, and that's just because the ball's always in their hand, and that the ball's always in their hand. And they're going to dictate what they want to do with it.
I can't argue with you. You're a stat guy. I can't argue with you on that part. I'm just.
And on that note, folks, this has been ASAP in the morning. And we will be back on Monday to talk more sports. I guess we'll have some NHL to talk. We'll have some NBA, and God knows I'm sure we'll have some football as well. But until next time, this is Chris Gonzalez, Stat Guy, Con Man, and your boy Jay McLovin. And we'll see you next time.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we're making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces.